Folks, if South Carolina beats Clemson this weekend, they have a great chance of making the college football playoff. And once again, I'm not just saying this because I'm a Gamecock fan. I'm not delusional. I'm not hopped up on anything. I think there's a real great chance. Let's take a look at these latest college football playoff rankings. South Carolina is sitting at 15. I think that's pretty good, actually. You might be thinking, oh, that's too low. There's no way they can pass enough teams to make it. To you, I say, have you watched college football this season? All the chaos week after week. So many upsets. South Carolina just needs a few upsets to happen, and there are a lot of teams that can go down. I'm going to break it down right now, team by team. The trick with the playoff is it's a moving target, right? Where do you need to go? Top 12, top 11, top 10? A lot of that's dependent on how the conference champ games go. But right now, let's say top 11. That means South Carolina needs to pass 4 teams. And again, I'm just going to go team by team here. Ole Miss checking in at number 14. South Carolina lost to them 27-3 at Williams-Brice Stadium. I kind of thought that South Carolina couldn't pass them if they have the same record. Maybe that changes. We'll see. How do you end the season? South Carolina ending on a 6-game winning streak, finishing with a quality win against Clemson. Ole Miss, they lose to Florida. Maybe do they struggle against Mississippi State? I don't know. Obviously, if they lose to Mississippi State, that's a team South Carolina can pass. Maybe even if they beat them, it's possible. Alabama at 13, another problem because Alabama beat South Carolina head-to-head. They have the same record, but I'd make the same argument I just made with Ole Miss. How do you finish the season? Also, Alabama, they're going to be playing a pretty inspired Auburn team in the Iron Bowl. You never know what can happen in that game. Auburn fighting to become bowl eligible. If Alabama loses that game, that's an easy pass there. So, kind of iffy on Alabama and Ole Miss. Obviously, they're passable if either one loses. Even if they don't lose, still might be able to pass them if you play good enough against Clemson. Clemson sitting at 12. This one's pretty obvious. South Carolina goes up to Death Valley, beats them on Saturday. They will pass them. Here's the interesting thing. Clemson can still win the ACC even if they lose to South Carolina. They just need Miami to lose on Saturday. Clemson still could be an ACC champion. Just imagine having a win over the ACC champ. Wouldn't that be a nice resume booster? So really, when you think about it, South Carolina just needs chaos for 3 teams because they control that Clemson element. We're looking at Boise State now at number 11, basically just a placeholder for group of 5. Some group of 5 teams going to make it. Not even going to touch that one. Indiana is number 10. I was curious what would happen after this one. They took a blowout loss in their one game against a ranked opponent. They definitely dropped, but didn't drop enough. If Indiana takes care of business, they're a lock for the playoff, I would say. But if they lose to 1-10 Purdue, they're dropping out of this thing. So that's another possible team that can be passed. SMU at 9 is really interesting. I thought the ACC would be just a one-bid league. You had a lot of chaos last weekend. Now they have 2 teams in it as it sits now. But SMU, if they take another loss, whether that be against California this weekend, and Cal, not a bad team. They almost beat Miami earlier this season. Or if they lose in the ACC championship game, I'm not so sure that they will make it. So I think that's another gettable team. Tennessee at number 8. If they lose to Vandy this weekend, that would have South Carolina and Tennessee having the same record. They didn't play each other this year. Looking at that common opponent in Vandy, though, South Carolina won that game big. If Tennessee loses to Vandy, I would think South Carolina passes them. There's another gettable team. Georgia is 7. I said it last week. I'll say it again. I don't think South Carolina can pass them unless maybe Georgia loses to Tech this weekend and the SEC championship game next weekend. But Georgia's 2 losses, hostile road environments against Alabama and Ole Miss. 2 teams South Carolina also lost to. And they got impressive wins over Texas and Tennessee. If they have the same record, I don't see South Carolina passing Georgia. Number 6, Miami. I think if they lose to Syracuse this weekend, South Carolina would pass them. And interesting scenario because that would give Clemson a berth in the ACC championship game. I know as a Gamecock fan, not supposed to root for Clemson, but if Clemson won the ACC, that would make a potential win against them that much more impressive. Notre Dame now number 5. I know they've had some big blowout wins. They also had a loss to Northern Illinois. I still don't understand it. If they lose to that USC out on the West Coast this weekend, I would drop them out. I don't know if the committee would. I would. Penn State at 4. I could be wrong, but I feel like they're a lock. If they go lose to Maryland this weekend, it might be an interesting conversation. But, I mean, they did play Ohio State pretty close. I don't see them dropping enough. Texas at 3 also feels like a lock, but I could be wrong again. Would a 3-loss South Carolina pass a 2-loss Texas? The big argument against Texas, they haven't played as strong of a schedule as other teams in the SEC. Ohio State at 2, even if they lose to Michigan, I think they're a lock. Oregon at 1, even if they lose to Washington, I think they're a lock. All right, so let's review. Assuming that cutoff stays at 11, South Carolina needs to pass 4 teams. How many can they pass? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And one of those teams is Clemson. So, I like those chances. I tell you, it's been a chaotic season. Rivalry week coming up. Crazy things can happen. And hey, South Carolina might not even need that many teams to lose. If they beat Clemson pretty convincingly, maybe they'll make a statement of their own. Going to be interesting to watch. I hope you all have a great holiday weekend and enjoy all the games. Thanks for watching.